The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the ACHA Power Play. We are 2 weeks away from the puck drop, 16 days to be exact, from puck drop for the 2023 ACHA National Championships just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. So that means it is go time. And we're glad you could be with us here on the ACHA Power Play. We are live on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. And we are also powered up by Belly Up Sports. Check out bellyupsports.com for a complete list of all the podcasts that we have for you here on our network. And of course, our latest and greatest articles from just a wealth of knowledge, a great assortment of guys and gals with all the articles that we have of all the major sports. We cover them all here on Belly Up Sports. And we are, again, blessed to be a part of the Belly Up Sports Network. Well, on the Power Play tonight, we've got a great show planned for you. The Division II field is set. All the regional qualifiers, the tournaments this past weekend. If you had a chance to watch them, there were some good games. We had some upsets along the way, as they always do in regional tournament play. But the field is set, and we'll be joined at the bottom of the hour, approximately 7:30, by Cam Stoddard from the University of New Hampshire, the head coach there. He was one of those teams, his team, one of those teams that punched their ticket in the Northeast Regional. They had to win 2 games this weekend to make it. And Cam will join us here. We talked to him about an hour and a half ago, so we'll have that interview here approximately 7:25, 7:30. Coming up here in a couple of moments, we are going to be joined by the head coach of the University of Missouri, their D3 team, the men's team. They've punched their ticket. Lynn Teeter, he's their head coach, and they're going to be going to the big dance in Boston as well. It all takes place on March the 16th. That's puck drop. Goes through the 21st. All 5 divisions are going to be in the same facility, so it's going to be a 5-day event, 6-day event, and I got to tell you, it's going to be some great hockey. We've got some awesome teams lined up. The field is set in D1 for the women. The D2 teams have been announced. We'll give you those as well on the broadcast, and if I'm not mistaken, the final official lineup for the D1 and the D3 tournaments will be set tomorrow. So we'll have all of that for you next week on our show. So we got a lot to talk about tonight here on the program. And again, we want to thank everybody for taking time out to be with us here tonight. 16 days, that's all it is until puck drop here for the national tournament. And it's pool play for the D3 teams and the D2 teams. And it's also for women's D2. D1 for the men's is single elimination. It's 20 teams, in and you win, in and you advance, win or go home. That's pretty much how the D1 format is on that one. And then, of course, on the D1 women's, that's a double elimination tournament. They'll have 4 games on the opening day. Then the losers will play day 2, I believe, then day 3, and it's kind of a bracketed format based on the seeds after the opening day. So really, it's an exciting time, and it's fun to watch the kids, the guys, and the gals give it their all. And the end of the year tournament, 72 teams will embark on Marlborough, Massachusetts. That's at the New England Sports Center. Again, it's in Marlborough, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, and we're excited to be a part of the festivities as well. I'll be doing play-by-play for Flow TV, and also each night we will do a wrap-up show here on the Captain Lou Sports Network, the ACHA Tonight, in conjunction with the ACHA Power Play. We will run down all the games, all the scores. We'll give you the up-to-date standings. Hopefully get some interviews there during the tournament. And again, it's going to be nonstop action every morning, every afternoon, every evening throughout that tournament. So it's great hockey, great college hockey. if you get a chance, stop on out and take a watch or whatever, and be a part of the action out in Boston. Well, without any further ado, let's go to our guest line, and let's bring in the coach of one of the participants that's going to be heading out to Boston, Lynn Teeter, the head coach of the University of Missouri. Coach, thanks for taking time out tonight. How are you?
Thank you, Lou. It's a pleasure, and I'm doing great.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on getting your ticket punched, first and foremost, to the tournament in Boston. It's got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful. And the joy the boys expressed the day they got it punched, why, that just made the year complete.
You know, looking back at the year, ever since the second semester or, the 1st of January, you guys have been on quite a roll. I don't want to jinx you or anything, but you guys are really coming into form at just the right time.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? All of it's been on the road, the majority of those. I think we only had 2 home games in the second half. And so the boys are used to playing on the road. And so they're looking forward to going to Boston.
Now, I've talked to coaches over the years. When you get extended road trips and games away from the road, a lot of them don't mind that so much because it gives the team a chance to bond together and really get to know each other. Is that maybe kind of what happened this year too?
Oh, yes, I think so. We always try to do something together prior to, our games. If we play Friday night, then Saturday, we try to do something early in the day. And then the boys just try to get things together. Or dinner after the Friday game, just to bond. The boys just really get along great.
What can you attribute that success in the second half of the year to?
They bought into the system we're playing. They realize that if we follow that system and stay with the lines we have, that they can play with anybody. And they have a unique way of scoring goals. And we've also got some great goaltending that we've been getting. So the second half, once they started winning, they realized we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple games where we were 3 goals down going into the third.
Wow.
And they pulled it back. They just know if they follow their system, it works and they can play.
So do you keep telling the boys that's enough of that? Can you give me a couple of wins the easy way?
They just want me to get, I told them when the season started, I had brown hair and now it's gray. So,
oh, that's funny. We're joined by Lynn Teeter, the head coach of the University of Missouri, one of the 16 teams that's going to be going to Boston in 2 weeks. My God, Coach, it seems like we just started the year. Man, it's flown by, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. Dude, really fast.
You talked about your goaltending, and I want to bring up Jack Dobbs. His number's 12-1-1 this year. You've got Tanner Richardson, of course, as well. They both have done good. Their goals against averages are very good, and save percentages right about where you want them to be. And we all know when you get into the national tournament, it's nice to be able to have choices in goal.
That's true. That's true. And we know that, to play 5 games and win it all, it would be tough on one goaltender.
Yeah, for sure. And then you look at the offensive side of the ice, Coach, you've got very balanced scoring. And, one of the things I also look at is you get production from your blue line, and it looks like you're getting that on both sides of the ice.
Yes, we are. All around. I was telling somebody the other day that our 4th line could probably start for most teams. That's just how well they're put together.
I look at Nick Spolik with 47 points and Henry Caston, Jack Hazelton on the blue line, as I mentioned, just some of the guys that are leading the way for you.
Yes, and I've got that's a young team. We've got a lot of first-year guys, and they've all started gelling and really come together. We've got a kid on the blue line that's a freshman, Hug, and I told Hug first of the year, come out, do your best, and we'll get you up to where we want you to be. And the guy has really come through. It's amazing how well he's played and how much he's learned. I told him one day, I said, if I don't even know you're on the ice playing D, you did a great job.
That's great. And as I looked at your roster earlier today, Coach, and You're right. You guys are a young squad, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. But, what's funny is now that the season's about over, well, except for the Nationals, they're not freshmen and sophomores anymore. They get that experience. And that's big coming into a tournament like this.
Oh, yeah. It's, past experience with coaching. This time of year, as you say, they're no longer freshmen or sophomores. They've moved up a grade, and hopefully they've matured enough. Playing with the older guys, they've learned a lot, and they're pretty tough.
Coach, I think one of the things that doesn't get enough notice in D3 is your conference. Now with yourselves, you've got Arkansas, Kansas, I believe, just to name a few. It's an underrated conference, and you guys are starting to get a little notice now with Arkansas making hay in the national tournament. But I think this is going to help you with the competition that you had this year as well.
Oh, yes. And, of course, the boys, we went into Arkansas early in the year and split with them down there.
Mm-hmm.
And to split with Arkansas in Arkansas for a young team, that's quite a feat.
And one of the other things that I always marvel at with teams in your area of the country, as opposed to like Michigan or the Northeast or whatever, you've got to travel quite a ways, more than once, to get, to play these games. And to be able to do that and drive over to Arkansas and split with them and go to some of the places that you do, that is, again, is a tribute to the toughness of your squad.
Yes, we had to go up to Sioux Center, Iowa, and about 4 years ago, I'd never heard of Sioux Center, Iowa.
I haven't either.
There, and Gort University's there, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous facility, but it is up there where the roads end, the sticks begin, and then some. And then the following week, we had to go to St. Louis, which is not too bad. But then after that, we went down to Dallas.
Yeah,
and so if you look at the mileage we put on, there's a lot of it.
Yeah. So now you've got a couple of weeks left yet before national. When was the last game you played, Coach?
We played, a week ago Thursday in Kansas City.
Okay.
In what we call the border war against Kansas.
Okay. And you guys were successful in that game as well. So I guess my point is, you've had some time off. You've got a couple of weeks left before you head to Boston. What do you work on in these last couple of weeks? Is there something you think your team may need to tweak a little bit, heading into Boston?
Yeah, we had several things last week that we worked on that the boys just weren't making some mistakes and pointed out where they were and what they needed to do. So we worked simple drills to get them to do that and try to overcome that. Last night we did a scrimmage for about a half hour, and it was heated. It was great scrimmage. The boys really went after it. Tonight is skills, and then Saturday we're doing a white and black scrimmage, and we're trying to fill our stands with people to come in, and we'll divide the team up. Part of them will wear the white jerseys, the others will wear the black, and we'll play a scrimmage. Now,
one of the things too that I always like to bring up, Coach, is these kids are students first and foremost, and not only that, but you find out last weekend that you're in, or whenever you found out, you've got about a month to get ready, not only on the ice but off the ice. These kids got to fundraise; they got to come up with ways to get it. A lot of folks don't understand how hard of a task that is, and that's why I tip my fedora off to all the teams that get there, and your team isn't any different. You got to really get prepared for that on and off the ice.
The boys took over once they found out for sure they were going, and the fundraising. They have a GoFundMe fund. They've pushed that. We sold a bunch of old jerseys at the border war, and they raised a lot of money. They just sold out, and then they sold quite a few out online. To do that, they've talked to some of the sponsors we've had this year. You turn them loose, and it's I don't know whether I'm more proud of them the way they've played or the way they've been able to run it like a business.
Isn't it amazing how much I always use the word discipline, but self-discipline, but the the organizational skills these kids have, like I mentioned, not only playing, but, still having to maintain grades and get to class and all that. That is, again, is something I always marvel at.
Oh, it is. And I tell them at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, this is a life lesson.
Yeah.
What you learn and what you're able to do right now will be with you the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey will be part of it, but this is a life lesson. You'll be able to realize, hey, we did it once before. I can do it again.
Mm-hmm. And now, Coach, you're on your way to Boston March 17th, I believe, is 16th or 17th, your first day. It's a grind, like you said. If you want to go all the way, it's 5 games in 5 days. And, it's one of those things where you can make a mistake maybe, but, boy, it just seems like you've got to be on your A game right from the get-go.
Yes, you too. And we're playing some very good hockey teams when we go out there. And, of course, the boys have learned, I keep telling them, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And, I want to hope that they haven't peaked too early, that they're ready to go. And I really trust that they're going to be out there and they're going to make a great showing, if not go all the way.
What do you think is going to be – I always ask these coaches, a lot of them will say defense is something that's ratcheted up in the playoff or in the Nationals. But if there's a different type of – is there a different type of play in these kind of tournaments?
There is. At the our regionals, the boys stepped up. We've lived off of defense, as you said, all year.
Mm-hmm.
Our defense is very tough. And then the offense is able to break out. The boys are fast. And I think they got a great taste of it in regionals, what it's like and what they have to do. And so that really it's going to help them in a couple of weeks when we get to Boston.
Well, now, as a coach, how do you prepare any different for these kind of tournaments, these 3 games in 3 days or 5 days or 5 games in 5 days type of setup?
We've had 3 occasions this year where we had to play 3 games in a row.
Okay.
And so the boys are in great shape. The question is going to be, they're in great shape for 3 games. Are they in great shape for 5?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the biggest question. For myself, I labor over, are we doing enough? Are we keeping them, honed tight? Or can we do more? What else could we do? You worry about a lot of things. You lose a lot of sleep, that's for sure.
I was just going to ask you, once you get out there in the night before, are you going to be pacing?
I don't pace a lot. I'm not a young man, so I try to get to bed. I don't necessarily sleep real good the first night, but no, I realize once we get there, now it's business.
Okay.
We'll go out and play. We'll have the lineups already set, so we'll know what we're going to do, and we just have to go out there and do it.
Now, are you going to get a chance to practice out there before your first game?
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Okay.
I haven't heard.
Okay.
I tell the boys, I told them last night, I said, guys, there's 2 things that I want to get and we want to do when we're in Boston. And it's going to be St. Patty's Day. The coach wants some corned beef and cabbage from Boston. and I want a lobster roll.
Okay.
And so trying to keep it light with the guys.
Sure.
Is what we're hoping to do. So.
That's a great point. Yeah, I've talked to, again, a lot of coaches going to these national tournaments, as I have over the years. They want to win, but they want it to be a good experience for the boys and the gals on the women's side. And I'd like that attitude, and if you can find good corned beef, make sure you let me know when I see you out there, eh? Although I can't eat it on Friday because of Lent, so I'll have to eat mine on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that. Well, I may do it both days. I
don't know. There you go. What? Who's your favorite NHL team? I always ask these coaches that when I have them on. Who did you follow and who do you follow now? Are you a Blues guy?
I spent 4 years with the Colorado Rockies, and I'm the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sorry. I used to watch the Rockies. Remember the Rockies?
Oh, sure. Before they went to New Jersey.
Yeah. And then I was right after they were a Kansas City team.
That's right.
I'm an Avalanche fan. I was with Avalanche, worked their camps a lot.
Okay.
For 4 years, so I am an Avalanche fan.
Well, we'll still like you. I'm a Red Wings guy, being based out of Michigan, so that's okay. You're not going to try to check me into the boards in Boston then when I meet you, are you?
No.
Okay.
I'd never do that.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out tonight, Lynn, to be on the show. It's an exciting time for everybody. I'm excited to get out there, but not nearly as excited as you guys are. I know it's going to be a fun experience. And, when you get there, it's just let the kids play.
That's right. Let them have a good time. As long as they're having fun, they're probably going to play very good.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be interesting to see who you're matched up with in the opening round. Now, do they announce the official rankings or whatever? Is that tomorrow? Do you know, Lynn?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have guys that handle the information
Okay.
for us, and they'll probably let us know tomorrow
All
if
right.
that's what it is.
Okay. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out tonight. Keep up the great work. My best safe travels from St. Louis or from Missouri to Boston, and look forward to meeting you in person once we get out there.
I look forward. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Thank you. Coach Lynn Teeter, the head coach of the University of Missouri. And they are just about set to embark on Boston. Actually, it's a couple of weeks away. But now it's funny is you talk to the coaches, you want to get there so bad, but they still have things that they need to work on. And and like they mentioned, they've got they're going to scrimmage against each other. So, wow, it's great to hear from coaches and teams that we haven't had on the show. And we really appreciate Coach Teeter for taking time out. And, the last ranking that we saw with the Division III was Missouri was ranked number 9. So we can see if we can't take a quick look at those rankings real quick. Again, these are the latest rankings right now. As you can see, Hope College number 1, Notre Dame 2, Michigan 3, Lawrence Tech 4, Saginaw Valley 5, Arkansas 6, Grand Valley 7, Purdue 8, Missouri 9th, the Air Force Academy 10, Missouri State 11, Gulf Coast 12, Creighton 13th, Indiana 14, Oakland 15, and Calvin 16. Now, there will be some movement. Obviously, these are not the final rankings of the tournament, but or the final rankings before the national tournament. Those are coming up. I thought I read tomorrow, but I'm not positive on that. I know the D1 rankings are coming out on Wednesday as well. So we'll have pretty much all the rankings set, and then they'll plug and play where to put the pools and everything. So I know there's big tournaments coming up this weekend in Michigan. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. So all we do know that they won the MACA, so Missouri has their ticket punched. Chances are Arkansas will also be in the national tournament as well. They, of course, have had 2 trips to the Final Four in consecutive years, going to the championship game in 2021, and then the Final Four last year. But everybody in Division III, they're going to be gunning for Hope College. They are the 2-time defending national champs, and they're loaded for bear again this year. They've got a big weekend of games coming up as well. As here in Michigan, in the Michigan Collegiate Hockey Conference, they do their conference tournament this weekend, and they have they're down to their Final Four. And in one game, it's going to be Saginaw Valley against Hope College, and in the other one, it's going to be Michigan against Grand Valley. So 4 teams that are right in the thick of going to the national tournament. I believe all 4 of them probably will make it. And that's going to be on the Central Michigan Hockey Network YouTube page, which I get the pleasure and the privilege of calling one of those games this Friday night. So I'm really looking forward to that, getting a look at the Division III troops there in Michigan. But again, it's a 16-team tournament, pool play in Division 3. So each team will get guaranteed at least 3 games. And we have seen where obviously you want to win your pool. You want to go 3-0. Run that gauntlet to get to the semifinals. If you do that, obviously you're going to be in. But we have seen teams lose a game in pool play over the years and still get in the semifinals based on tiebreakers and win the national championship. The aforementioned Hope College in 2018, when they won their first championship, they lost one of their games in the pool play, but were able to win on total points. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a tie. And they edged out Arkansas that year, I believe, 6-5, because Arkansas had 1 win and 2 ties. That win was over Hope College, but Hope went 2-1, got 6 points. They got in, won the semis, and then they defeated Oakland University in the finals that year. So obviously, like I said, you want to win the pools to get in. You want to go 3-0 in pool play to get that national tournament bid or that semifinal bid. But it makes for great hockey. You can maybe make a few mistakes, take a period off and bounce back, and but you don't have to worry about the one and done scenario like you do at the Division I level. So in the men's. So again, can't wait for that. It's going to be in 2 weeks. March the 16th is the opening day of the national tournament. And a reminder that we here at on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, that will also be brought over to the achahockey.org website. We're going to have a nightly wrap-up show, a recap of all the games, all the days that are going to be in the tournament. We'll get you the latest standings, the latest scores, get you set up for the following day's games, and we'll get some interviews as well. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a very, very fun, packed 5 or 6 days, but that's what it's all about. And we'll have we'll have some play-by-play people, some personalities on as well throughout the week on our show. So make sure you stay tuned for that here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. One way to make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can watch past episodes of the ACHA Power Play, and of course our weekly Captain Lou Extravaganza show that we have on the Captain Lou Sports Network. So why don't we get to our next interview right now, coming up here in a moment. But I just want to remind everybody that coming up after the interview tonight, we'll run through some of the qualifiers, the national qualifiers who are in Division I for the women and Division II for the men, for Division II for the women rather. And we will also give you the pools for Division II for the men as well. So stick around for that. We had a chance about an hour or so ago it's been a couple hours ago, to have a conversation with one of those Division II qualifiers on the men's side. He is the head coach of New Hampshire, and that's Cam Stoddard. Let's take a look back and listen to that interview as New Hampshire has punched their ticket to the big dance at Boston. And we're here on the ACHA Power Play tonight again, and we're pleased and blessed to be joined by the head coach of the University of New Hampshire, Cam Stoddard, stopping by. Cam, thanks for taking time out tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you reaching out and having me on for sure.
Well, congratulations first and foremost. Your ticket is punched to the big dance. Kind of a tale of 2 different games on Saturday and Sunday. It was a fun watch for me. I don't know if you got any gray hairs after a couple of those games. Sunday was kind of an up and down affair with Vermont, but congratulations nonetheless.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Definitely a lot of gray hairs this weekend. The guys kept me on my toes. Especially, I think the Sacred Heart game, having the 1-goal lead was testy at times, but also going down 2 goals to UVM 2 different times was not a great feeling. And fortunately for us, the guys have been there numerous times over the years, or over the season for that matter, and we're able to dig out of it and work their way back.
That's a great point, because I noticed before the regionals, you were coming off a couple of tough losses, and the guys were able to bounce back, obviously, and that's a testament to your team.
Yeah, we played a lot of good competition this year. You look at our record, I think we finished the season 12-10. 10 of those losses were in 3 of those 10 losses were in shootouts. So a few close games there. And then I think seven of those losses came to teams that were, 1, 2, or 3 in their respective regions. So it's the team had a lot of good competition this year, so they certainly understand how to rebound, especially with the number of losses we did have to some very good teams, and throughout the season.
What, Cam, what have you noticed the most as far as an improvement goes on the team from beginning of the year till now as you start to get ready for Boston in a couple weeks?
I think the biggest improvement for us as a team has been the younger guys stepping up. We are overall a relatively young team, and some of the guys that are regulars in the lineup maybe played in 1 or 2 games last year. So I think the few seniors we do have done a good job at kind of getting the young guys up to speed and giving them pointers and advice and confidence and support throughout the learning curve. I think between that and kind of just getting acclimated and comfortable with the systems we run, it's just kind of all coming together at the right time. There's certainly improvements we need to make over the next couple weeks before we get back down to nationals, but we'll take it day by day.
Now, in your prep work for nationals, I know it's got to be one of those things where it's like, wow, I can't wait to get here or for it to get here, but yet you say you got some things to work on. Is this a good amount of time to have for a break? I know some teams obviously are waiting a month to play or whatever. This kind of time frame, having about 2 weeks off or 12 days, is that a good amount of time for you to get ready?
I think for us it is. We've actually had a gap. We've had 2 gaps like this throughout this season, specifically, just ironically enough with our scheduling, and it's worked out pretty well. It gives the guys time to rest after a couple hard-fought games at regionals. Gives us time to kind of reset as a coaching staff and evaluate, what we need to nitpick coming down to it. A lot of the stuff we go through is more of a broad overview, and now we really have to get in there and use some of the video from this past weekend to show the guys, the littler things, the finer details that'll help us, against some of the, of course, the best teams in the country.
Right. So, I ask every coach this, and it's pretty much unanimous, but I'll ask you, one of the things that I've noticed since covering the national tournament for the last 7 years is the defensive play to me has ratcheted up big time. Is that what you're expecting coming up in Boston?
I am. I mean, it was our game plan last year was to play defense first.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the same. We're a pretty defensive minded team anyways. We don't like to give up a lot of goals, and when we're sticking to our systems, it's hard for teams to score against us. That said, I noticed it too. We can look at last year's results against Liberty. In game 1, we beat them by 1 goal. I think it was a 2-1 final or a 3-2 final, so very low scoring. And then Lindenwood in the second game, they beat us in overtime. So to your point, it's all games are tight there, and it's very infrequent to see a game run away score-wise, and we hope to keep it that way, on our end for sure.
We're joined by Cam Stoddard. He's the head coach of. They have their ticket punched. They had to play a couple extra games this weekend in the regional tournament, but they were able to survive that, and congratulations to them. Coach, I see, you're led by Owen Roberto with 42 points, but one of the things that stands out to me too is you've got it looks like you can roll out 3 or 4 lines, but Griffin Delaney on the back end is able to put the puck in the net for you as well, so a nice mixture for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We are comfortable with rolling 4 lines. Owen has been, an outstanding player for us this year, and actually his older brother was our captain last season, the season prior. Very, very similar players, just hard-working, nose to the net type players, which is fantastic. Lead by example. He's super young. He's only a sophomore for me. As well as Gardula, who they're going to be with us for the next few years, and they're they're very good hockey players. On the back end, Griff has been excellent. He's been shooting the puck more this year, which is great to see. Last year, he didn't necessarily need to do that with some of the other defenders we had back there. But he's also been instrumental in helping Bodenrader get going, his partner. Bodenrader was one of the guys I was referring to earlier on in the conversation, where he only had, I want to say, 2 games last year max, and he gets in the lineup as a top pairing defender right off the beginning of the season, and he's kept to it. And it's Griff's been helping him and mentoring him, which has been great. Next we need to get Hill and Clark going a little bit as we get into it, because they're very much capable of getting on the board as well. And we'll go from there.
Cam, one of the things I noticed about your roster is, your team is, if I'm not mistaken, 100% right there in the Northeast. And to me, it speaks volumes to the amount of talent up there. And you've put together a great roster, obviously, to get back to nationals. And that's kind of unusual, I guess, in the respect of a lot of the other teams you face. They've got kids from all over the country. I commend you for that. That's a nice talent base that you've got.
Yeah, we are very fortunate. I've spent very minimal time over the last 5 or 6 years trying to recruit anyone, simply because the turnout just to our open tryouts is absolutely incredible. I mean, I think we had 85 skaters.
Is that
7
right?
or 8 goalies. Yeah. So it's very hard. It's an easy thing to pick the top 5. It's an easy thing to pick the bottom 20. Anything in between that, it's like, you're kind of. Yeah, I like to tell this story. It's last year I had the Arno twins for their senior season, and I almost actually cut them their freshman year, and they broke all sorts of records. So it's super hard to find that middle group and find the right fit. But fortunately for us this year, it seems to have panned out. We've got some kids that aren't even in the lineup right now that are going to be very good for us in the future. And but yeah, Northeast, I think it was all Northeast last year, with the exception of our 2 years ago, our exception of our goalie, who's from Florida. We've always had a pretty Northeast heavy team.
Is that the toughest part of your job, when it gets down to deciding at the last moment who you keep and who you don't keep? I think that's underrated, in my opinion, how difficult that can be.
Yeah, it is very tough. I've had a lot of practice at it. I've been involved in the youth hockey world for 12 years, 14 years, maybe even longer than that, doing tryouts and all that, being part of the selection process. Very smaller scale. I mean, tryouts are, you're able to select 3 teams, so you're not having to cut kids. That's where it kind of gets difficult. So I would say those bottom picks, for me, it's very helpful if I have some coaching feedback from their previous coaches, or if they have friends on the team that can kind of give me an insight on the character, because, we want kids that are going to be good in the locker room, kids that are going to be attending practices, prioritizing the team, even if they're not necessarily playing as freshmen and sophomores. So that's the big thing for me, is just trying to find those details out before tryouts. But it's hard. Like I said, 85 kids trying out. I certainly can't have notes on everyone. So I'm sure I've missed some in the past. Well,
if you'd be perfect, you'd be up there with Scotty Bowman for all-time wins at the NHL level, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, let's turn our attention back to the national tournament. You've made it. I'm sure you know who's in your pool. You've got Montana State, Indiana, and Lindenwood. Obviously, you'd like a crack at Lindenwood. You'll get one. But how much pre-scouting do you do now that you know who you're playing? Do you watch videos of them, or you just go with your strengths and just take it from there?
We do quite a bit of scouting as a coaching staff. At the end of the day, though, we don't emphasize a lot on the details of other teams, simply because I'm confident in our systems that if we play the right way and play the right hockey, we're going to be close with anyone. We are excited to get back on the ice with Lindenwood. They're a great program, great team, and we're also excited to get back on the ice with Montana. They were in our bracket last year as well.
Okay.
So both those teams beat us. We'd like another shot at them. They're both, very good competition for us, but we're another year older, so we're hoping to kind of apply that. But we do, back to the question, we do scouting as a coaching staff, but we don't it's not our main focus leading up to nationals. We do scouting through video. We also have contacts around the league that we'll kind of reach out to get a little scouting report if they had played those teams that we're coming up against. So not a huge emphasis, but definitely something we do before we get to the tournament.
Well, and I look and see who's in D2. It's, again, we talk about the talent in the Northeast, Cam. You've got you guys, Northeastern, Bentley, UMass. There's a wealth of talent up there, and it's exciting to see for your neck of the woods, so to speak, with the level of talent at the D2 level. Yeah,
absolutely. And these guys have all been, been very welcoming, as I'm kind of the newer coach up here from my standpoint. But, I some of the first congratulations we got when we won were from, the UMass head coach DeFazio, Bobby Rodriguez up at Keene, UVM, who we played, the coach was ecstatic for us. So I think the talent here is very good, but I also think that the support system throughout the coaching staff is awesome, and it's great to hear from those guys. And I'd reach out to them if the roles are reversed. And but yeah, the talent's great, the competition's great, but it's nice to be able to connect with those guys after and not have to have some of the rivalries that I see other programs having around the country. So
I know you said you've been coaching youth hockey for 12 years or whatever up to this point. Where did you play as a younger guy?
So I played at the local youth program that I'm part of now on the board, which is actually the meeting I have later tonight. So I played there right here in Exeter, New Hampshire. I played for Exeter High School. I also played for Winnicott High School, and then I played juniors in the IJHL for the Eastern Kodiaks. I didn't play anywhere after that. I went to college and had a landscaping company, so I kind of hung up the skates for a bit and turned my focus to coaching.
How did you get the drive to get into coaching?
Just some mentors of mine that had coached me kind of got me on the ice, pushing pucks around, and then slowly they started giving me more opportunities. I went back and started helping my coach, Wayne Sheehan, who is a longtime mentor of mine. He was coaching the Eastern Kodiaks. I helped him there. Then I went off my own midget hockey, that kind of thing for a while. Then he actually brought me back to St. Thomas Aquinas High School in New Hampshire. I was there for 1 year, and then I happened to talk to a guy that told me about the UNH job opening up and applied and got it. And that's kind of how a fast explanation of how the trajectory's gone to get me where I am. But the coaching is just mentorship from when I was younger. Older coaches just getting me into it and involved, and me just finding a passion in it.
So I got to ask you the main question I ask everybody that I have on for the first time. Who is it? Is it the Bruins? Is it the Rangers? Is it the Flyers? Or am I way off base?
It's the Bruins all day long. I've never been, I shouldn't say I've never been a fan of any other team, but the Bruins are way up at the top of the list for me. Outside of that, I'm a fan of some West Coast teams. I'm not a fan of anyone on the East.
Okay. So that's okay being a Bruins fan as long as they don't break the Red Wings record for most wins this year. But I tell you what, they are on their way though, aren't they?
I know, it's crazy. It makes me nervous. It makes me nervous just because it's tough to go, if you're going a whole season in second gear while everyone else is in first, and then you hit playoffs and everyone hits that second gear and you're still in second. It scares me as a just someone that's been around the sport. It's a hard thing to do to accomplish and then roll into playoffs, but hopefully they do it. I hope, I'd love to see it before a major rebuild that I'm sure is coming down the pipeline.
So are the nerves going to be any different coming up the night before your first game as opposed to last year at Nationals?
My nerves are always high. I'm a little bit higher strung. These guys keep me on my toes with these close games. They certainly love to keep things interesting. I think the bigger thing is that the nerves will be more of an exciting nerve, whereas regionals is just nerves because you want to make it to nationals. At this point, we're in overtime. We're just kind of, enjoying the moment. So there'll be nerves for sure, but once I get behind the bench and the pucks drop, they all kind of disappear and it's just focus.
So I'm going to write this note right down when I introduce myself to you in Boston in 2 weeks. Talk to Cam after the game, not before, because you're probably a little bit too amped up to talk. So duly noted.
Yep. Yeah, after the game will definitely be a better time to talk to me.
All right. Very good. Cam, I appreciate you taking time out tonight to be on the show. This has been a real treat. Good luck in a couple of weeks. My goodness, it's almost here. Who would have thought 6 months ago it came this quick? Go get them. And again, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks, Lou. I appreciate you having me.
And of course, that being Cam Stoddard, the head coach of the University of New Hampshire. Their ticket is punched, as we mentioned, obviously. They're heading into the Nationals in pool play at the Division II level. We're going to bring that up right now. Let's see if we can't get that screen up, and we can show you exactly all the pools. Let's see the magic here. Right. Let's do that right now. There we go. Okay. As you can see, let's go to the 4 pools. Each team guaranteed 3 games. And so in Pool A, it's going to be Liberty, Northeastern, Utah State, and Iowa. And then in Pool B, it's going to be UMass, Florida Gulf Coast, Concordia of Wisconsin, and Dakota College of Botano. Dakota College, a dangerous 4 seed in that pool play. I know they are you talk about a team like Missouri in D3 who's been on a roll. Dakota College has definitely been on a roll, and they're going to be a tough out. They went to the semifinals last year in 2022, so they know what it's like to get to the big dance as well. In Pool C, the 2-time defending national champs, that's the University of Mary. They're looking for a three-peat. They get St. Thomas of Minnesota, Kentucky, and Bentley. Now, Kentucky could be a sleeper in that pool as well. Keep an eye on them. They won a couple of games in the tournament. They scored a lot of goals the first day, and then they won a 2-1 squeaker against North Carolina to get to where they're at. So watch out for Bentley as well. And St. Thomas, of course, is going to be a tough out as well. That's going to be a tricky, tough pool in that one. And finally, in Pool D, the one with New Hampshire, they're the 3rd seed in that pool. You've got Lindenwood, Montana State, and Indiana. Indiana, of course, they've been playing well too this year. All 4 of those teams in that bracket. So those are the pools. And the semifinals will be the winner of Pool A will take on the winner of Pool D. And then in the other one will be the winner of Pool B against the winner of Pool C. So again, 3 games are guaranteed in Division II and Division III in the men's, as well as the Division II of the women's. And so that pool is set right there. And the pools are all set, I should say, in Division II for the men. So now they can kind of get an idea who they're playing in a couple of weeks when they start pool play. So that's the men's side in Division II. Again, thanks to Cam Stoddard, the head coach of New Hampshire, for taking time out to join us as well. Let's now show you some of the other qualifiers that we know in the women's side. Women's Division I is pretty much set. And we can tell you that if I can get my information handy here, let's see if I've got it. I do indeed. Now, the women's D1, they play in a double elimination style tournament. So you've got the seeds 3 through 10 will play in the opening day on March 16th. It'll be Arizona State, the 7th seed. They're going to be taking on Maryville, the 6th seed. That's the opening game at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Then at 1 o'clock, it's going to be McKendree and Indiana Tech doing battle. Then at 4 o'clock, it's going to be Adrian College taking on the University of Michigan. Adrian, the 4 seed, Michigan, the 9 seed. And then the nightcap on the opening day for the women in Division I, it's going to be Minot State against Miami. So there you go. And that's Minot State, the 3 seed, Miami, the 10 seed. Then on the number 1 and 2 teams, they don't have to play until Saturday. So they realistically would only have to win 3 games to get the national tournament bid, or championship rather. And that being Midland, the number 2 seed, they would play the second lowest remaining seed on Saturday. And then Liberty at 7 o'clock on Saturday, March 18th, would play the lowest remaining seed of the tournament. The second day has losers bracket games on Friday, 2 games. Then on Saturday, you've got the fourth lowest remaining seed against the fourth highest remaining seed, and then the third lowest remaining seed against the third highest seed. One way to keep an eye on that is to stay with us here on the ACHA Power Play. Again, we're going to be doing our nightly wrap-up show, the ACHA Tonight at the National Tournament. I'll be doing play-by-play games every night with Flow TV, but at night, we'll be right here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, and we will also have this over to the ACHA Hockey website. We will do a recap of all the games each night, and also get you up to date on all the scores, the brackets, who's standing where everybody is at. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I invite you to check that out. It'll be on our YouTube channel. If you don't see it live at night, it'll be right there the next day to get up to date on all of the goings-on in the ACHA National Tournament. Finally, let's take a look at the Division II qualifiers for the National Tournament. And I believe I can bring this one right up as well. Let's see if we can't. All right. I believe I've got this one. Yeah, let's bring this up on the screen and you can see it right now. Now, this is based on the size of the regions. That's why the Southeast gets 5 teams and the West gets 3. So there you go. The number 1 seed's Assumption. In the Northeast, Providence, and you've got Vermont and Northeastern, the top 4 teams in that region. In the Southeast, you've got Villanova. They've been right up there all year long. The Naval Academy, Delaware, Rowan, and Niagara. And then in the Central, you've got Sioux College, the number 1 team pretty much ranked all year in the nation. Adrian, number 2. Central Michigan, number 3. And Michigan State, number 4. And in the West, the 2-time defending champions there, Assiniboine. They get the number 1 seed. Then Dakota College of Bottineau, number 2. And North Dakota State at number 3. So, again, those are your teams set in the women's Division II. So coming up next week, by this time next week on the program, we will have all the teams in all the divisions. They will be announced. The final rankings, I believe, for Division I will be announced tomorrow. We do know the automatic qualifiers, and I can give you those right now. The auto qualifiers in Division I for the men, their conference qualifiers, the 8 of them, are Adrian College, Jamestown, Pitt, Michigan Dearborn, who won their conference tournament, Indiana U of Pennsylvania, the Naval Academy, and also the University of Buffalo, and the other automatic qualifier is Central Oklahoma. So they're set. They've got their ticket punch. That means there are 12 at-large bids left in the that are at stake, and those, I believe, will be announced tomorrow, Wednesday, March 1st. So keep an eye on that. Follow me on Twitter at The Real Captain Lou. Follow me on my Facebook page as well, as we will. I will share that with you as well on both my social media outlets. You can follow me on the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page or my personal one at Lewis Gamlin. And also drop me a note, sweetlou1965 at yahoo.com, and I can get you any information you want there as well. So we'll have this, the fields will be set by this time next week. We'll have a complete rundown of all of them. And yeah, it's getting to be that time of year for the ACHA National Tournament. T-minus 16 days and counting, 15 and a half now if you think about it, with puck drop on Thursday, the 16th of March. So, wow. If you're going to be in the Boston area, I highly advise you, if you like college hockey, or any kind of hockey for that matter, step on out to the New England Ice Center, Marlborough, Massachusetts. 8 rinks in 1 facility. There'll be games going on all day. Some of the best women's and men's college hockey that you will see. And these kids put it all out there. For a lot of these kids, this is their last go-round in competitive hockey. So they want to leave it all out there. And there's some really good teams, some teams that are looking to add to a long list of championship trophies. Hope College in Division III men's looking for a third straight. University of Mary in Division II looking for their third straight. There's going to be a brand new champion in Division I for the men's as Lindenwood, and they went to the NCAA level, so there will be a brand new champion. So a lot of good teams in that bracket as well. And of course, you got Assiniboine and women's D2 looking for their third straight, and I think Liberty and D1 for the women. Was it going to be 4 in a row for them? I think they have won the last 3 or 4 in a row. I'd have to double check on that. So a lot of teams, they've got a lot of teams going after them. The targets are on their backs. That's what makes it fun. So a lot of great hockey to be played from the 16th through the 21st. Please stop on out there if you are in the area. And if you're in the arena, you see me walking around, stop by and say hi. I'd love to talk to as many people as I can. That's what I enjoy the most about going out to the national tournament as well. Talking to the coaches, talking to the players, to the fans, everybody. It's great to meet people from all over North America, for that matter, in the world, because we get some of the players that play from overseas on some of these teams. And it's always great to get their perspective as well. So, well, that's going to do it tonight for our show. We are just 2 weeks out, as I mentioned, from the national tournament, the 2023 ACHA National Tournament in Boston at Marlborough, Massachusetts. So we want to thank Coach Lynn Teeter from the University of Missouri for calling in tonight and talking about their hopes for the national tournament. Their ticket is punched at the Division III level. And of course, we want to thank Cam Stoddard from the University of New Hampshire. Their men's D2 squad, their ticket is punched. They're going to be in pool play in Division II. So, and also we want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out tonight to watch it. Subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, the Captain Lou Sports Network. You will get to see all of our archive shows of the ACHA Power Play. We thank everybody that has taken their time out to watch that. This will also be downloaded tomorrow, audio version, on anywhere you can get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, iHeartRadio. So make sure you check that out. This will be posted, and I will share that on my social media outlets as well. Thanks to Belly Up Sports for letting us be a part of their network as well. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We really appreciate it. You're on the Captain Lou Sports Network. So long.